We are live. Here we are in Las Vegas, day 3 of AAPEX. Again, every year, AAPEX, I always seem to just really enjoy the cultivation of the relationships that you had over the years. All of automotive industry, some of the great visionaries, experts in the field come to visit. And AAPEX and SEMA is we're slowly winding down, but more importantly, it's the third day, and we want to hear more from experts in the industry. And very, very honored to have Pareto Point Industries CEO Bob Hammer. Hello. And Gary Floridia. I know there's a relationship here. We'll get into it. But I think, Bob, we met, I don't know, a while ago, and I kind of learned a little bit more on your product line. A very unique product line. But first off, I'd love just to kind of, get your take on, yourself, running Pareto, what you do. You're, in my view, an OG in the industry.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we've been around 26 years. My business partner and the president of the company, Adon Reynosa, could not be here. I'm the CEO of the company. As I said, we formed about 26 years ago, and we formed around a very, very sophisticated, exotic product that had 52 benefits and about 200 features, and of course, we couldn't sell it. So we came up with a very, very simple product, which did magnetic filtration. We're able to sell that. That kept the business going a little bit. And over the period of many years and a lot of feedback, we dumbed down the very exotic product to something very, very nice. We do advanced oil filtration with it. And basically, it's a very simple process. We take a little bit of oil out, put it into a bypass, go down to about 2 microns, and bring it back into the system. Where we're unique is that we've built in a 5 PSI differential so that the oil can actually go directly into the engine. We call that product TopDog-V. Gary, who we'll talk to you in just a minute, actually was introduced to that product, and that got him going with us. And since that time, Gary and Adon and one of our other engineers have been working on a very, very good product that we introduced at SEMA this year for PentaKur engines. And we've also taken the magnetic filter and we've amped that up as well. So that's our introduction to where we are.
Yeah, and that's you. You mentioned Gary, and I know we were talking before we went on, and I thought it was an interesting take how y'all met.
Yeah, so I've been a builder for SEMA for about 10, 11 years now. My own vehicles, I had my own Jeep and actually Bob's booth 2 years in a row, last year and the year before, my LS Swap JK on tons. And I was just kind of walking around the show a couple years ago, doing as everyone does, putting miles on your shoes and hurting your feet. And
I get to stay in the booth.
Yeah.
Lower backs shot.
I'm always looking, at just unique stuff. And I come from a real deep background in performance world before I met the off-road community. That's kind of where my passion in cars started when I got out the military. Was just basically performance, going fast, And so I was kind of drawn in by one of his team members at the time, and got to talking to them about basically the TopDog-V system at the time and what its unique characteristics were. And just like everybody else, I walked past the booth and started talking to my people, and I'm like, man, there's just no way that I would go that long on an oil change and that you could really get those benefits out of it. And so we fast forward to after the SEMA show that year, and Pareto Point reached back out to me, and we kind of got talking to them, and Bob was, on board, and he's just like, hey, how about I send you a kit? You don't have to do anything. Really? You either like it or you don't. If you don't like it, feel free to send it back. But if you like it, give me your honest opinion. We'll go from there.
That's not normally our operating procedure.
Yeah, absolutely not. So,
but a guy like him.
Well, he talked us into it because we understood his background.
Yeah, I said, I come deep from the automotive world in performance, and we all know that hard track times, whether you're in autocross, drag racing, all that, you put a lot of stress on your engine, and the engine life is your oil. And so I was like, sure, I'm right in the middle of my LS Swap JK, and I'm going to start my fresh build crate motor LS right off the get on a Pareto kit. We're going to see what this is at. People thought I was crazy. I'm putting all this money into your Jeep. Like, why would you jump onto something? And, I look at, like, the physical aspects. When you give me data, I'm able to decipher that data and really look. And when they gave me oil sample testings and stuff, I'm like, look, the proof is in the pudding.
Really?
It's not just
That's incredible.
something that I'm hearing from these gentlemen, you know, like everyone has something to say at the show, and you take some with a grain of salt, you know, excuse me, and some you move on with. And so I really started digging into it. So I installed the TopDog-V system on my Jeep, and it's been on there since day one. Immediately, I started seeing the benefits from it. Looked at 5,000 miles compared to my other vehicles at 5,000 miles. There's no carbon buildup in the oil. So I was like, well, good thing I took an oil sample. So when Bob sent me the kit, and I got some from them that year at SEMA a few years back from Blackstone, I was able to send a pre-sample out, and I was able to send a sample out 7,000 miles after.
Yeah.
So I had fresh in and fresh out, and the data back was astronomical. Now, I'm not scientifically smart like that, but when you see carbon count and you know, abrasive metal counts really high before, and you see them really low after, you know, I cut open a filter and I look in it, but stuff is so fine you don't really see that. Right? And so now we're back to the point where, wow, we got something here. So I'm on overland wheel ride, overland all over the United States, and so I'm like, well, I'm about to go on a 4,000-mile trip up through Yellowstone, Grand Tetons, and stuff like that. So here we are, pulling my overland trailer up through, did a full loop, came back, dumped oil again, looked at results, and I'm like, man, like this is astronomical, right? And it's just me being me. And I've been
Of
a
course.
master
Well,
tech
you're
20
an
years, and
enthusiast.
I'm like, man,
Yeah, obviously you make a living doing this, but you're an enthusiast first.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
I've
you
seen
know,
oil at all different kinds
Yeah.
of breakdowns, you know, and to see really what Pareto Point was bringing to the industry just hooked me.
Yeah.
So I reached back out to Bob and I'm like, look, like I'm hooked. I want to promote my Jeep and your company at SEMA. What was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, Gary, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Were you using synthetic or just normal oil?
I use full synthetic oil.
Right.
I'm a firm believer in Mobile One and Royal Purple products, and so
I'm almost sorry I asked.
yeah,
The reason I asked was because many people do use standard oil, non-synthetic.
I'm just kind
And
of
I don't use a synthetic, and I have fantastic results as
yeah.
well.
So
I just
mean,
wanted to bring that up.
yeah, he's getting
Yeah.
great results on conventional. I've just been in that world where I started off on synthetic. I run full synthetic. That's
yeah,
just, you know,
for whatever reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
other guys in the industry I've kind of talked with, I've seen tests and some of that personally, and so it's just, you know, I guess a preference. Everyone has their
Yeah.
preference in oil.
One of the benefits of synthetic is it cools the oil a little bit more than standard oil.
Yeah,
And
that's-
our system puts in about a quart of additional oil, so you do get some additional cooling on top of. So he's getting cooling plus cooling.
yeah, it's pretty amazing, you know, and so I reached back out, like I said, I reached back out to Bob and them. I'm like, look, I want to help you guys out a little bit more because I didn't believe none of you guys. You know, I was just that guy. And
right.
you're the guy in the back corner in the small booth, so you don't have this big elaborate booth
Right.
like most people have. So naturally, people tend to miss you or walk by you. It's just natural in SEMA's world. We
Right.
put so many
A lot of
miles on our
people here.
feet every day that just it's not intentional. But I was like, well, maybe we can give them something to look at as a testimonial. So we reached out. Unfortunately, it was kind of a little late in the season. They had already got their booth design set for that year, but we were able to get with Maurice and some people within SEMA and get us a feature vehicle spot outside. And then from there, it kind of kicked off. That's really where our relationship kind of built. In the following year is when I think you saw last year we had the LS SWAT Jeep was actually in the booth at SEMA. I think that's when I ran into
Yeah.
you last
No,
year.
Yeah.
we ran into you at the summit.
Oh, at
That's,
Summit,
that's right. That's
okay.
right. The summit. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
see,
was
it's
2 years.
2 years
ago?
ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
So much
God,
time
time flies.
stuff. I'm telling you.
Yes, it does.
Man, I thought swore it was last year.
Time flies, and now I have 2 kids, and
I thought it was next year.
I'm telling you. And then yeah, so I put my two-door LS Swap JK with the TopDog-V system last year in the booth, and we got a crazy amount of people coming in. Was able to explain more of the system to them, and it kind of kicked off. And one of those main questions was like, "This system's really good. Like, did you have the Pentastar engine in this Jeep?" Or I was like, "Unfortunately, I didn't. My wife's Jeep has the Pentastar. I had the 3.8, so I just opted out for the LS." And they're like, "Can you adapt this to this?" And that's kind of where the whole thing of the PentaKur came about. So we over as a team have been just doing the TopDog-V over the last couple of years, and like, so I was talking with Bob last year, and he's like, "Well, we got to talk with the Don. He's the one that's really going to know these
Yeah, yeah.
answers." And so I went back home, and I mean, I had some pictures last year. I was kind of showing Bob and Kane and you know some of the guys, and they're like, "Look, like we got to get those to Don. He's the one that's going to be able to tell us yes or no." So I get up a bunch of diagrams, my oil passages, my fluid passages, and what's pressure and what's not. I get it all jotted down and I send it out to Don, and I'm like, "What do you think?"
Yeah.
About a week later, he sends me back a thing, and it's like, "I think we're onto something."
That's
Like,
how innovation happens.
Dude, it was actually
Like,
really
that's
great.
how innovation happens. I
Dude,
see it all.
we just kind of clicked on it, and
Yeah.
his knowledge within pressure differentials and how we really need to move it is where I was a little behind on, because I knew where it needed to go, I knew how it needed to leave, but how much could I successfully pull out at a time without starving an engine of oil pressure?
Yeah.
That's the key, right? Because anybody can pull oil out, anybody can move oil away, but can you maintain pressure? Do you maintain a good flow?
And
As well,
and temperature.
and temperature, as well as catching particles, you know. So we all know is you add pressure, some filters tend to push media through.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't that way. All the tests that we were doing and that he had me running, and you know, mind you, this has kind of been something that it's kind of been floating around for a couple of years, but I haven't really been able to put the pieces of the puzzle, because I didn't have a Don for Pareto.
Yeah,
I
well,
didn't
for
have
sure.
us to sit back and go as a team and be like, look,
Right.
like we're gonna start this off. We need to come up with how this is, because we're looking at a potential. I mean, there's millions of those engines in all of these vehicles. We're talking from Jeep Wranglers to Cherokees to the minivans to even the ProMaster, like, you know, cargo vans they have.
Yeah.
Dodge.
Dodge, Chrysler,
Mopar.
Mopar in general. There's just millions of them. And then in 2018, when Jeep kind of revamped, you know, the Wrangler, that's when they had their chance to revamp the problems of the cooler that they had, and they didn't. So it was kind of like a target for us. We're like,
Oh,
look,
wow.
we're going to gain another
Opportunity.
however many years.
Yeah.
They're not going to go away from this. And then I actually found out about a week ago, and I don't know if this is true. I still need to get by Dodge's booth to confirm, but there is a supposedly a 1,500 ram coming out next year. That's all electric. And the Pentastar engine is just to recharge the battery. So it's going to be an idled Pentastar engine from what I've heard. And like I said, this is unofficial. I haven't made it to Dodge's booth yet to confirm. But if that is true, then we're basically able to cover 2012 to 2025 models.
Wow.
A couple of other quick things.
Yeah.
When we were approached last year by quite a number of people regarding our TopDog system and could we adapt it to Pentastar, we did a lot of research. We found out that there's three primary problems with the Pentastar. One is leaks because of the plastic cap. One is temperature problems, and the other one is the injection of a lot of wear materials. So we built our product on all of those. So what we have now is a product that has features that will eliminate all of that. We eliminate the leaks. We keep the temperature down, and Gary can attest to this with some of the testing he's done. Keep it way down. And also our bypass filtration, which was the first one that led people to it. All bolt-on system. So that's the way that we're set up. Later, we're going to set it up so that people who've already done some adaptation because of the known problem of the leaks will be able to parcel out pieces to them so they can complete the set.
That's awesome. I think the story behind these things are always more incredible. Just the journey, right? That's what I think draws me into this industry is the journey to a better product, and it's driven by a lot of passion and knowledge and learning, right? You know.
And one more quick thing, very quick about the Pentastar issue that we're dealing with. We're only dealing this year with Pentastar. We're learning that we could adapt this system very, very simply to a broader variety of engines. So although we're talking about Pentastar today, by next year we'll be talking about Echoes. We'll be talking about a variety of products.
I'm currently working on the EcoDiesel right now.
EcoDiesel.
Within myself, so I'm trying to get something together so I can submit it to a Don, like we did with the PentaKur,
Exactly.
and then start getting his write-off on them and his testing and seeing what he comes up with.
As you roll those out, Gary, Bob, always welcome to come out and talk about
Absolutely,
this stuff.
absolutely. It's
We
always
run
exciting.
a digital studio. We run an in-person studio out of Jacksonville, Florida. But love to always.
Just down the block.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, y'all are New Mexico, right?
Yeah, I got actually some family that lives in like Ocala, Gainesville area. So
I'm in Huntington Beach, California, and I have no family anywhere near there.
he's a hop, skip, and a jump.
I'm a what?
I was just Bob, how folks that maybe are new to hearing about Pareto, how can they engage with the organization? How do they buy the product?
That's a really good question. We got all the information on the product from SEMA last year and from Gary's pre-work, and it sort of validated that we needed to work on this. We finished a lot of the validation very late. So at this point, we're still, we're out of prototype, we're out of beta, But what we need to do is we need to ramp up our our supply chain.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're about to go through manufacturing, trying to get a good number of the
Okay.
everything.
Really
And
it's about ramping and looking at
Yeah,
somewhat
honestly,
scale, I
It's
guess,
also
right?
about pricing.
Yeah.
You know, if we're buying short runs, it's not going to be very efficient for us, and it's not going to be very good for the customer.
correct.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Yeah, it just slows down supply
w-
times and all
yeah.
that.
we're looking at mid-January,
Okay.
and we do have a website, ParetoPoint.com.
ParetoPoint.com.
I would not recommend looking for this right now, because in about 2 or 3 weeks we're going to go to another platform. I want to tie into SEMA SDC data,
Yeah.
the data core,
Yeah, the data corp. Yeah.
and I can't do that on the platform I'm on right now.
Ah.
So I'm going to redo.
Yeah, the
entire
SEMA
thing.
data, that's a key component.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of why we were kind of telling everybody, like, look, like, just, you know, stay with us. The
Yeah.
website name.
Once
is not
that
gonna-
once that gets launched, pitch it over to me,
Yeah,
and we'll get it up on the 2W World.
great. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we'll run this recording. They can understand a little bit more about it. I think, you know, I can go read and whatnot, but whenever you hear it from the creator and the creator with your knuckles and everything,
Correct.
the perspective changes. I think from an industry, you know, expert in the field, right? Not everyone's going to understand the language, but that's that you don't want. That's not what it's intended for.
They could also text me at info@pareto.com. And,
Okay. Info
info@pareto.
info@pareto.com. So even if you're looking for potentially to get on a wait list, right? I mean,
Exactly.
I think that's probably the key right now is
Yes.
building excitement, building a wait list. Yeah, engage with the website, but also, you know, info@pareto
Info@.
ParetoPoint.com.
Yes.
Okay, info@ParetoPoint.com. We'll put up on the social 2W side. Bob, Gary, man, really happy to have you guys come by the 2W podcast, man. We love talking about the next level, whether you're small, mid, enterprise, where the industry's going. We really want to kind of continue. I believe it's our duty as an industry. I've got 30 plus years still in this career. You probably feel the same, Bob. You probably got 100 years left in this career because you're not going anywhere, man. You're a fucking genius.
I will be the oldest person by about 100 years. if we
Oh,
do
wow.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
awesome, guys.
I'm hoping to carry on a little way still.
Oh,
know,
yeah, you got to, man.
I've been, you know, wrenching a while, and it's always good. And over the last couple of years, that's kind of when I started my own company.
Yeah.
And coming out here, and that's where, you know, you see me. 2 years ago, I was
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
at SEMA Summit in a Float Tech motorsport.
That is
shirt.
awesome.
That's me. So I'm just kind of hearing about, and hopefully we can just take the torch and just keep running.
Yeah,
with it,
absolutely.
make some new
Pareto Point
designs.
Industries, ParetoPoint.com. I'll put all this up on the social. Bob Hammer, Gary, I'm going to butcher your last name. Florida.
Floridia.
Sorry,
No, you're
Floridia.
good.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate you having us. Y'all have a good rest of the week.
You the
And
same.
we'll, I'm sure, catch up hopefully very soon, man. Whenever
Yeah.
this thing goes live, get bumping.
Will
Thank
do.
you very much.
Awesome, guys. See ya.
Take care,
See you,
buddy.
Gideon.